what is the ideal length of a video in terms of
Mm.
immersion? Do you have any experience with that? Different testing different lengths?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. There's two types of videos that Amazon asks for from the content creators. One is vertical shorts. That's between 6 seconds and 30 seconds. Vertical, usually like a TikTok style. Amazon made me buy it. Top 10 things for my car, like that kind of like really quick. And then they've got like 10 items tagged in that video. So that's one type. Those, quite honestly, don't convert super well at the moment just because Amazon's not set up yet for that type of like social shopping, but they're there. The other type of content is more like long form. So I would consider this like a standard horizontal talking head, B-roll over here, like talking about a product. Um, Anecdotally, my videos that convert the best in that style are between 3 and 5 minutes, which seems incredibly long, in my opinion, for an on-page UGC video. But I will say that when you pair it with a product that's a little bit more expensive, people tend to watch because they are considering how to invest their money, right? So we don't have any real solid data around conversion rates and we can't really A/B test like video length, but my longer ones tend to be the ones that do relatively well.
Yeah, I mean, the price point of the product is also important. I mean, something is gonna cost 10, $15, you don't care. But I mean, I myself bought a little appliance the other day. It was 79.95, and I
Yep.
watched the video two, three times because I was
Yeah.
trying to. So,
Yeah. But
yeah,
that's the reason they're there, right? Because the content creator, somebody who's using your product or the product you're thinking about, they can answer those questions. Like they're using it. I recently did this little crochet kit. It was my first time crocheting. So I just sat down and answered a bunch of questions off the product listing that people were asking about this particular kit. I mean, it's such a cool thing that Amazon's allowing on the product listings. But yeah, the price point, I find like that 80 to $100 range is about the part where you start to see people make the tipping point. They're going to watch that content because they want to know how they're going to invest that money into a product and they want to pick the right one.
okay. The other thing that I wanna get your opinion on is the quality of the video. What I'm
Mm,
talking about is it okay for you as the seller uploading a promo video
yeah.
to record it with your iPhone or whatever, and then just whip up something all by yourself and then upload it? Or is it better to have something professionally produced? Which
Mm.
one do you think is a better one?
So for the seller side, like if you, the brand, are uploading one, my personal preference is that you do something in between those two things. I don't think you need to go spend a couple $1,000s on like a professionally produced sizzle reel, but I also think you probably need to do a little bit more than like a shot on your phone. So maybe find that middle ground for your product videos. The hack that I will give you is as the brand, if you have multiple products listed, you don't have to create an individual video for each product. You can actually create a brand video and make that your product video for each of your listings. And that way you're not spending a bunch of money trying to create for every variation, whatever the case is. So you can do that. But my preference is maybe pick something in between those two kind of extremes there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, I always say do not do one of those quick jobs with your phone and then try, because I say imagine that uh, you've been given a spot in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Do you really produce something with your iPhone? No, it's going to go to a lot of people. So, and also how you're going to come across as a serious seller versus someone who's just doing. So first impressions last. So that's why I say be careful, make sure, but don't go spending a lot of money. And the other thing that I say is that video, promo video that you're gonna have, it could be 90 seconds to I
Hmm.
don't know, maybe 2 minutes. you can have it repurposed
Yep.
and then use it for your sponsored brand video ads.
Yep.
Shorter version of it, like cut it down to like 20 to 30 seconds and then use it in your. So spending a little bit of money is a good idea. It will pay off. But just doing it on the cheap is not gonna come across well. However, tell me what you think. Any other video, like unboxing video and things like that, that's a different story. Then you don't want
Absolutely.
those, right? Do you agree?
So actually, I think it's interesting because for the brands, yes, you want to present yourself as professional, you want high quality. For the UGC coming from Amazon influencers, you almost want it to not be overproduced. You want
Right.
it to be me sitting at my desk talking about this cute little frog that I crocheted because it comes across as more authentic, right?
Right.
And when the customers are looking at it, they're looking to you, to the brand, to be the professional, talk about your brand story, talk about the facts of the product, how you developed it, whatever you want to tell in that video. But for the UGC, you actually want the content creators to be a little bit on the rougher side, right? Like you want them to be shooting on their phone. You want them to be sitting at their desk. You always want them to have good audio, always.
Right.
But everything else, like as long as it comes across as that like authentic user experience, it's almost like the total opposite of what you want the brand video to be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you know how it is. The world is all becoming virtual. So shopping is something that unfortunately does not really fit well into that virtual interaction because it's a
Yep.
touch and feel. You're buying a product. So
Yep.
how do you come as close to
Mhm.
touching and feeling the product? And of course, that's the video. So
Yep.
I kind of thought of this scenario. Let's say that you go into a specialty store and that does customization of different products or whatever, and you've got the product in the window. You say, okay, I'm interested in this, and they bring it out, and then you start asking questions. Okay, how do you do this? How do you do that? And then if somebody says, okay, let me bring out our expert who does this all day, every day, so he'll tell you more. And then the guy comes out of the workshop, he looks, all
Yep.
shabby clothes,
Yeah.
dirty, and his hands are dirty,
Yeah.
not necessarily clean. But you don't care, do you? It's actually more authentic, and you
Yep.
appreciate. You listen, and then you say, "How do you do this?" And then he starts explaining to you. That is the kind of experience you are delivering with a video like that, right?
Yep.
So you want it to be okay. So that's the idea. So I mean, in this conversation, we are almost setting the expectations that sellers should have. So if a UGC video looks
Mhm.
too fancy, too produced, then that's really not going to get the best results, right?
I mean, it kind of depends. I don't want to say never, right? Because if you're proactively working with a content creator and they have really high production value, I would still probably be like, yeah, sure, that's a good, especially if you can repurpose it off of Amazon, especially honestly, if you're in a tech category. So those consumers do expect a little bit higher. So like the guys that are putting together the computers, if they're talking about microphones, they're talking about screens, lighting, that kind of stuff, people expect their production value to be much higher. If you get outside of that, I mean, like it just it still translates well, but I think there's a little bit of authenticity that's maybe lost a little bit when you get too far out into the production. So I wouldn't say never, but I would say gauge your audience and who the people are, not your target audience that you are marketing to. That's different. The people who are buying your product, because one of the things I find is sometimes brands want to market to their target audience and it's a little bit more produced high value off site. Whereas like I know like the people buying their product are probably not 100% aligned with who they're seeing when they're putting those marketing dollars behind the paid spend.